I'm T. Rick Jones. I'm the managing editor.
I'm Chris Post, contributing writer.
I'm Aster Lefkin. I'm also a contributing writer.
I'm Tony Tellado, host of Sci-Fi Talk, and happy to be here again.
And this is your daily Star Trek news roundup for the week of May 5, 2024. So it's a really heavy Discovery week in terms of news. I think there was one story this week that did not touch on Discovery. But let's start with Michelle Yeoh received an award, and Aster wrote this up. So you want to tell us a little bit?
Yeah, so she received the Presidential Medal of Freedom, which is a super high honor. Uh, Basically, it's given to someone who's a United States citizen who has sort of impacted United States culture or like sort of every like essentially like the essentially the country and like the people in it. So she got the award, one for her amazing career in acting. Her career's been going on forever, and she's done everything, and she's immensely talented. But also, I think what sparked this is she was the first Asian American woman to win Best Actress in the Oscars, and I think that was a huge monumental moment that meant a lot to so many people, and I think that's what sort of got her this award, and she was among a bunch of people to win it, including like Mike Bloomberg won it, Nancy Pelosi won, Al Gore won. So it's a really big award in the United States, and it's a super high honor, and she totally deserves it, and we're all really proud of her.
Yeah.
Amazing. Tony, what do you think?
Well deserved. I've been a fan of hers since Hidden Dragon, Crouching Tiger, great movie, and Tomorrow Never Dies, and so thrilled she was on Star Trek and what she's done. I love what President Biden said about her. I don't have the exact words, but it was a nice tribute to her. I have only one question. Do you know who escorted her, that gentleman in uniform? Because, that's been like on the internet, people are asking, who is this guy? But no, he's very striking. But I'm very thrilled that she won, and so well deserved. And what a year it's been for her. So I can't be more than over the moon. My nieces are both half Asian, so it just makes me prouder because of that. So I'm really happy.
I mean, it's an extraordinarily high honor. It's basically as on par with in Britain something like the OBE. It's like being knighted in the United States. It's on that level of achievement. And as Tony said, her filmography goes back quite a long ways, back to Hong Kong, and doing Hong Kong stuff with Jackie Chan and whatnot. And so she's got a really she's done a little bit of everything. She's got sci-fi in there, and she's got some fantasy in there, and so just a really great, accomplished actress. She's fantastic in everything she does, and so I think she's in terms of her achievements in the arts, I think absolutely. And Everything Everywhere All at Once was fantastically mind-blowing, and she was so good, so good in it. And so, yeah, I think well deserved, and it's always good to see somebody from the Star Trek family be recognized for their work. With William Shatner, who we'll talk about a little bit later in the show, being considered, one of the prime over actors of all time. It's nice. It's nice when Star Trek gets recognized for somebody with some actual acting chops. So.
Yeah, it is the highest civilian honor that anybody can get in the United States. That's how high that is. It's pretty amazing.
Mary Wiseman did some interviews this week reflecting on Tilly's journey, and Chris wrote that up for us. You want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, she kind of she took the opportunity to delve into what she sees as the evolution of Tilly, and we've talked about that a lot already on the show. Is how much she has grown as a character. A lot of times characters, especially in Star Trek, the writers kind of they know what they want to do with the character, and the character kind of stays in that lane. There's not a lot of growth, and that's a point of frustration for some of the Star Trek actors. Garrett Wang was always very frustrated with how static Harry Kim's character was. So and so that's not been the case with Tilly. Tilly has had this opportunity to grow and change and show that she has gained confidence and has this ability to think on her feet. I think was the phrase that Mary used, and she's getting excuse me, she's getting especially opportunity. Uh, that I think this interview came out around the time of Whistle Speak, and so I think she had that. That was a good Tilly episode there. Where Tilly got to show. Not only is she smart, but she's also physically capable, and I think that might be a conscious choice on the part of the writers. Mary is not thin, but they have over the course of a number of different episodes, they've shown that she is physically fit. She runs in the hallways, in her disco T-shirt, and she is physically capable, even if she is not necessarily what most people would consider an athletic body type. And she got to demonstrate that in Whistle Speak as well. That was a tough race that they had to do, and she had the tenacity to hold it together and get it done, but also the heart, I guess you might say, to help somebody else. In most races, helping a competitor is automatic disqualification, but apparently not on the Whistle Speak planet. You get to help people out and not be disqualified. As soon as she went back, I was like, "Oh, that's disqualification." My son-in-law is a distance runner and marathon kind of guy. And yeah, you can't help anybody out. You get disqualified. So it's good sportsmanship, but it's against the rules.
Tony, what do you think about Mary Wiseman and this interview that we wrote up?
Yeah, it's great. I think her character of Tilly has really grown throughout the years. And even though she did help that runner, maybe would have been disqualified here on Earth, but the fact is it showed her empathy. And also the scene in the temple when they're losing oxygen and she's like cradling the young lady who is they're both having trouble breathing. I just thought it really brought more of her human side to it. She has become a very capable officer. I love her teaching side of things, and teaching students. She really enjoys it, and we saw a little bit of that conflict in this past week's episode about that, which we'll talk about, I'm sure. But yeah, she's just really grown a lot for me, and really talented actor too. So she's been one of my favorites, I think, on Discovery.
Yeah. Yeah. Aster, I know how you feel about the rules of races. Now, tell us how you feel about Mary Wiseman and Tilly.
Well, I saw Chris write up this article when I was posting it, and I was like, "Oh, he had a ball writing this. This is all he's been talking about with Discovery." So I've loved Tilly from the beginning,
Yeah.
and it's been really great to just like see her grow, and she's had amazing character development. And in the most recent episode, mild spoilers, there's a scene where she's like, "I need to go help my cadets. I need to go help my cadets."
Yes, that's what I was
And
talking about. Yeah.
and I think that's just like so sweet, and like it shows she really cares, and she's really embraced this new job of hers, and she wants what's best for her students, and I think that's really awesome. And it's so great to see, like in the beginning she was like struggling a lot with like anxiety and like her relationship with her mother, and she was sort of all over the place, and she like could barely help herself, and now she's going and she's trying to help all these young people who are in a similar situation that she was in at the beginning of the show. So I think that's really awesome.
Yeah.
Do you think she's going to be in Starfleet Academy because it's set in the 32nd century? I mean, it seems like a
She
natural.
has to be.
Yeah.
I think she is.
She has been really coy about it. When people ask, she's like, "Don't go there. Don't ask me about that," which makes me think that she probably is. Because if she wasn't involved, she would just say, "No, I'm not involved. I wish I was." But
Yeah.
so she's real dodgy, though. She's real dodgy about it.
Yeah, I think she's such a popular character that I think there's no way she couldn't be in it at this point. You know, if they're setting Starfleet Academy contemporary to her, and she teaches at Starfleet Academy, and they're going out of their way to talk about. I actually think the plot where she's like, you know, I don't know how to help these kids in whistle speak. I think we'll see if it pays off this season, but I'm wondering if that's sort of going to be the thrust into Starfleet Academy. You know, I wonder if that's going to be a big plot line in the beginning. Is you know, people are leaving. How do we keep them? How do we help them? So that's my guess. But obviously, nothing has been confirmed yet. We won't know until they're ready for sure. Until they're ready to tell us. So, another big interview this week was with Doug Jones. Now, one of the things that I've enjoyed this season a lot, but one of the things I've missed for several weeks now has been Saru. And he sort of spoke about that and let us know why he's not in much of this season. And Chris, you wrote this one up too.
Yeah. I had wondered where's Saru? He got some play early in the season and then has kind of faded into the background. Uh, in one episode we hear his voice. He's laying on the ground, and that could have been Doug Jones. It could have been a different actor made up to look like Saru because he doesn't actually move around. He's just laying there. And then we hear his voice over the intercom. That was in the time slip episode. But that was it, and then he's been absent. Turns out it's because Doug Jones was busy. He made a little movie called Hocus Pocus 2 and was out doing the press circuit for Hocus Pocus 2, so he had to step back from filming, and so the writers just worked with it, and so Saru is off doing other things in the universe, and so it afforded Doug Jones the opportunity to go out and promote that Hocus Pocus 2 sequel. I didn't realize how long ago they had been filming. Here we are in 2024. They were doing promotions for Hocus Pocus 2 in 2022.
Wow.
So so post production is a long time on a science fiction show. We kind of forget about that a little bit, but yeah, the principal photography for this season took place in the fall of 2022, and so all of 2023 and into the spring of 2024 was post production. Took them a hot minute. But that's why Saru's not around. It's because Doug Jones is a busy guy. He does so many things that people just don't even realize that he's in because of the heavy makeup. He's kind of had an Andy Serkis sort of career with all the. Now Doug Jones has more makeup than motion capture, but he's still hard to recognize sometimes in these roles. But that's where he was. That's why we're not seeing so much Saru. It's because of that fantastic sequel to Hocus Pocus.
Tony, what are your thoughts on Doug Jones and Hocus Pocus 2?
I'm glad, Chris, that you clarified, because my wife and I were talking. Where's Saru? What's going on? So it was good to know that's what he was doing at the time. Yeah, I mean, he's missed. I mean, he really is an important character. I will say, when I did the junket for Discovery, that they asked him about shooting in the woods and action Saru doing all these stunts and things. He actually has a stunt double, so that could have been the person that was lying down, and the stunt double does a lot of the running for him, because it's very hard for him on these platform shoes to run around and do his thing. So but yeah, it was great character. Another actor who has just taken his character, and it has grown so much because of him and the writers. And I've loved Doug Jones's work for years, and really happy that he's getting recognized by a wider audience now because of probably Shape of Water and also Star Trek.
Yeah. Aster, what are your thoughts?
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense. I figured he was filming something else because Doug Jones is secretly in everything, you just don't know it. I'll watch a movie and then like I'll get to the credits, you're like, that was Doug Jones? What? Because he's like a shapeshifter. He can look like anything, and I understand it's makeup, but like it's so cool.
Mhm.
So yeah, he's everywhere. There was like an article released about him a while ago. It was like the man of many faces, like this actor you don't know you know. Um, it was about Doug Jones and his career. Uh, yes, I mean that makes a lot of sense. That's kind of what I figured.
William Shatner has not said he's going to do one, but he has not ruled out the possibility of returning to Star Trek as a young Captain Kirk. And Chris, you can tell us how that might work.
Well, William Shatner, he's 93 years old now. He has outlived most of his contemporaries, and so he is well. Right now, he's out promoting his documentary, and so "Call Me Bill," I think is the title on that one. So he's out doing the press tours, promoting that. But obviously, he started in a lot of movies and television shows. He was T.J. Hooker. Was actually where when I was a kid, T.J. Hooker was on TV, and I saw T.J. Hooker and watched that. He was a cop in that show, Aster, if you're not familiar. And so yeah, so he's a cop named T.J. Hooker, and Heather Locklear was in it. Young Heather Locklear was in it, and I think that's what actually captured my attention as as a boy was Heather Locklear. But but that's where I knew William Shatner from, and then I fell into Star Trek because it came on prior to the late night broadcast of professional wrestling that I was staying up late to watch on Friday nights, and so I was like, oh, look, it's T.J. Hooker. But I think for most people, they don't think T.J. Hooker when they first see William Shatner. They think Captain Kirk. And so invariably, when he's doing these interviews to promote Call Me Bill, Star Trek comes up. And in a previous interview that he did, and this has been a month or two ago, he talked about AI and that he would be okay with his family using his image in AI once he's dead. He doesn't want them to do it while he's still alive, but when he dies, his family, his estate has his permission to use his likeness, AI generated, to do things. But while he's still alive, he wants to do the acting himself, although he wants to use de-aging technology to do it. He's not interested in playing a 93-year-old Captain Kirk. He wants to play a young Captain Kirk with the de-aging technology. And so that's what he said in the interview. It made me think about other actors, though, who have used de-aging technology with uneven results, we might say. The de-aged Data from season 1 of Picard was not good. I think we can all agree that was frightening. And then Samuel L. Jackson was de-aged for Captain Marvel. I think it was Captain Marvel. And the appearance was not bad. He looked younger, but he still moved like a 70-year-old man, and so he had like stiff knees and old man walk, and it was like, has Nick Fury always had bad knees? Is that like canonical now that because like this is 1980s Nick Fury and he's got bad knees? so
I
so
thought that was just Nick
de-aging.
Fury being weird when I watched that movie. I was like, oh, he's like that. Like,
Yeah.
he's just a bit weird.
Yeah, so Bill Shatner is not as thin as he used to be, and so if they de-age his face, are they going to de-age his waistline? How much technology do we have at our disposal? Is kind of my question, but
Mhm.
I don't know.
Yeah.
He's iconic in the role, so Who knows? Who knows? I mean, nobody is offering. He's just putting it out there that he's available. So
What do you think about de-aging technology and William Shatner, Tony?
It'd have to be a younger Kirk because Kirk is dead. And there's no Genesis device to bring him back. So, although apparently he's also in in the Picard, he's in that his skeletal remains are in that space station. So I don't know, but I think he should just. I think he's done it. I think he should let it go. I really do. I think he's already done it, and we don't need to see Captain Kirk again. There's also a younger guy, excuse me, playing him now. So I don't know how they would use him. So I just, in using Kirk's own words from Star Trek Six, let him die.
Aster, do you agree?
Yeah, I think there's something to be said about knowing when to make a gracious exit, and I
Yep.
think the exit should have been made a little while ago. I think it's time to retire from Star Trek, and it has been for a bit.
So here's the thing, though, about in William Shatner's defense, I don't think he's going around saying, "I'd love to come back to Star Trek. I'd love to be de-aged." I think people are asking him, and he's answering, "I'd be okay with that." I don't think he's making a play to return.
No, I don't believe that either. Yeah.
So I agree. I think William Shatner's Captain Kirk has had his time. Um, but I also don't think he's sitting around thinking, boy, I'd love to be 20 again and play Captain Kirk. I just don't think that's what he's thinking. I think
well,
he's
and part of me also wonders how much of it is William Shatner being a troll. Because if you follow William Shatner on Twitter, he is expert level at trolling people, especially Star Wars fans. And so sometimes I wonder when he says these provocative things, I wonder if he actually thinks it or if it's almost like a character that he plays online. William Shatner, the internet troll, because he's good at it. I mean, he gets under people's skin really, really easily. I mean, he's a natural at it, and so sometimes I wonder if these comments aren't just a little bit of that.
yeah, I agree. He does like to stir the pot a bit.
Yeah.
We're going to talk about the latest episode of Star Trek Discovery coming up and an interview I did. But first, Daily Star Trek News has this special deal going with. There we go. With The Most Human, which is Adam Nimoy's memoir about his father.
Yeah.
So you can get 25% off the autobiography. And so you can see on your screen there, you go to chicagoreviewpress.com/mosthuman and use the offer code DSTN25. And you'll get 25% off of the book. And you'll be helping out Daily Star Trek News at the same time. So it's a win-win. I am in possession of the book. I haven't read it yet. There will be a review coming at some point, and I'm trying to get an interview with Adam at some point too. So that's all coming. But head over to chicagoreviewpress.com/mosthuman and enter offer code DSTN25 at checkout, and you'll get 25% off.
Mm-hmm. I hope he mentions directing his father in iRobot on the rebooted Outer Limits. I hope he mentions that in the book because that was cool.
Yeah, that was very cool. So we'll find out. I'm going to read it this weekend, and
All right.
I'll let you know. So now let's move on to the latest episode of Star Trek Discovery. If you have not watched Erigah, which is episode 507, turn off this video now if you don't want spoilers, and then come back a little later. If you have, then stick around, and we're going to talk about it. So in the latest episode, it's a biggie.
Yeah.
Locke and Maul, they find Locke and Maul, and Locke is still is dying because of the accident from mirrors 2 weeks ago. And they get him on board and get him stabilized. But meanwhile, his uncle and his Breen ship show up. And I mean, there's so much to unpack in this episode. The Breen ship is the ship that they saw that had destroyed Starfleet Command. Oh, Aster's had a thought.
So large. It's so large.
It's huge, yeah. It's
bigger than the
Harkonnen.
whole station.
It's Harkonnen large. It's so big.
Yeah, I want to like like the ship comparisons that they have in like I want to see how big it is compared to everything else because that is the biggest ship I've ever seen. Oh my god,
it's enormous. And apparently, in the future, they saw in the episode where they're time jumping, it's going to destroy Starfleet Command. So that's not great. To put it mildly. So they show up, and there's some negotiations and some threats, and yada yada yada. Ultimately, Locke, in order to help Maul escape from Starfleet and the Breen, he overdoses on tricordrazine, and ends up dying. And it's a great death scene. I mean, any actor would give his molar to do a death scene like this. So he has a great death scene, and then his death sort of propels the rest of the episodes. The Breen Maul offers herself to the Breen. Maybe she's got a plan about what she's going to do when they get her, but who knows? Burnham and people, discuss what are we going to do? Are we going to let her go? And they do. They give her up, and the Breen take off. And now it's a race to find the progenitor's device and maybe prevent Maul from getting killed and yada yada yada. So really fun episode. I just want to really quick talk about Elias Tufexis, who I had an opportunity to interview this week. Really interesting guy. And we talked a lot about like his motivations and what he was thinking when he was doing the death scene, which I thought was really interesting because it was unclear to me by the end of the episode if he had actually intended to kill himself or if it was an accident to kill him. He just wanted to create a distraction. And what Elias said was that he knew it could happen, but he was hoping it wouldn't. But he was willing to die so that Maul could be free. And so it was really sort of, he knew he might die, but that was not his end game plan necessarily. But he knew if it happened, it would be okay. Now, obviously, things did not develop. He could not have foreseen the way things developed after his death. But he, took that leap of faith and was hoping that he could buy Maul's escape. We also talked about he was highly influenced by Hamlet. The relationship between Hamlet and Claudius, his uncle, is very similar to the Primarch and Locke. And also there's Little Romeo and Juliet. I mean, it's a very sort of Shakespearean character. So anyway, let's talk about the episode. Who wants to start?
Well, I'll go. Great episode. Liked it much better than last week. And I love your article pointed out the Shakespearean quality to it because it certainly had that. I think there was a little foreshadowing about his death because it was like he said to her, I think I have a plan, but you're not going to like it. And I thought it was like one of those row moments. Something's going to happen. And obviously something did happen. I thought he did a great job. The death scene was, it's so cool when you actually feel for the antagonist in an episode. It totally colors things and really fleshes the character out. And I totally got the whole thing about trying to please a relative and what's that like and the extra pressure on you because you're relative is higher up, and you have to follow in those footsteps. I thought that was great, and really the last point I'm going to make is in Star Trek, the episodes I really like is where the captain, or in this case, the Federation, has a tough decision to make. Do you turn them all over to them? But in a sense, she kind of took that up on herself. Uh, I think she's just going to go there and stir things up and be as loud of a noise as she can be. And again, it's great to see the Breen, getting their due and really fleshing instead of these guys that in DS9 we never understood. They just make all these funny noises. So I have a better understanding, and kudos for the writers for that.
Yeah, who else? Who's next? Aster,
So
go.
you sort of made it sound like Maul had a plan. I don't think she has a plan. I I think because there are previous points in the episode where she's like, I would rather die than be separated from Locke, and now she's separated from Locke. So I think she's sort of lost any regard for her life that she had, and I think she will be wreaking havoc on the Breen. Um, but I don't think she's gonna make it through the rest of the show. Honestly, I mean T-Rick knows.
I
So
I
uh,
don't know yet.
you don't.
No, I haven't seen the last 2 episodes yet.
Wait, but don't we only have two more left?
No, we have 3 more left.
Oh, we have three more. Okay, okay. So great.
So
Yeah, that makes sense.
my guess is they're going to release 9 and 10 separately, like one at a time,
Yeah.
the week before they come out. So
Just assumed you knew. You always know.
not this time.
And
One
I
thing.
also.
Go ahead.
Oh, it's unrelated. So you go. You go.
Oh, I like unrelated stuff. It might become a deleted scene.
Oh no. Well, I was just gonna say. I also really loved Torina's in this episode. I thought she was so badass, and it's really fun to see her character. Like we sort of see her as like this very composed and like rule following character, and then that point where she's like, "You needed time. I got you an hour," and it was like preferable to saying a triple invasion. Like and I
Yeah,
was
I
like,
love
you.
that line.
I thought that was really good. I really liked that, and it was really nice to see that sort of more mischievous part of her.
Yeah, yeah. I like that character a lot. I do. Chris, what are your thoughts?
Well, I agree with a lot of what's already been said. Touching on something that Tony said with the antagonist being sympathetic, and I think something that I tell my students when we're considering people's motivation as journalists is that nobody is the villain of their own story, right? And so when we watch fiction, sometimes there's a lot of mustache twirling villains who are just evil for evil, and they're not fully realized characters. But real life human beings, when they're doing things, generally speaking, they are motivated maybe by self-interest, but nobody is the villain of their own story. And I think we see that with Locke in this episode. He ostensibly is the villain of, or one of the villains of the season, but he's not the villain of his own story. He is a man who fell in love, and tragic events transpired because of that, and that is very Shakespearean. And so um, a lot of people think, people who only know the surface of the story think of Romeo and Juliet as this great romantic story, but it's two teenagers who knew each other for 3 days, and like so many people die because because of their tempestuousness, and so those love stories. They're tragic sometimes, and this is a tragedy of classic Shakespearean style, and being nicely done. And one of the things I like about this season is the pacing. I feel that the pacing has the writers really kind of found their footing. Some of these new Trek series, especially the serial ones, Strange New World doesn't really have that problem because it's more chapter based. But the serialized shows have really had a problem sometimes with pacing. It's like they don't have enough story, so they stretch things out, and then they get to oh, we've only got 2 episodes left, so let's do all this stuff now that we've only got these 2 episodes left. And this season of Discovery has really felt more evenly paced to me. I like the way that things are unfolding. I like that things are not going quite the way that I expected that they would. Early on, I thought that that Locke might die. He was, when you have a death bounty put on you by a ginormous intergalactic empire, the odds are against you. They are better than average that you will die. I didn't expect him to die with so many episodes left in the season. So I thought maybe penultimate episode, but here we are where we are. So that was unexpected. Like I said, I had a suspicion he might not make it through. I thought that he and Maul might die together in a blaze of glory, sort of Bonnie and Clyde kind of situation. That didn't happen. So it's kept me guessing. Star Trek can sometimes fall back on tropes, and they kind of sidestepped and dodged a couple with the writing in this episode, and so kudos.
I will say that I liked Book's anger in Maul giving herself up, because he said it more than enough times. This is my only living relative.
Yeah.
And also about the Breen, that the gelatinous shape, that's their natural shape.
Mhm.
And it's almost an affront to them if they get solid. It's really interesting. And
Yeah.
just fleshing them out, it's just, it was really cool.
Yeah, I mean, Elias, his personal thought is that they are just gelatinous. They don't have faces. They only create the faces when they take the helmet off, which I think is really cool. It's not canonical because it hasn't happened on screen, but I think they should, make it canonical because I think it's a really cool concept. It's a completely different. It's non-humanoid alien that we don't see very often in Star Trek because the aliens are all played by humans. So to think that they might just be completely gelatinous, I think is really a fascinating.
Mm-hmm.
If they truly are gelatinous, the Breen, and they're not humanoid, that means that they do not stem from the progenitors going
That's
around.
right. That's right.
That would be really interesting to see if that influences how they could interact with the tech. I don't know.
Yeah, that's a great idea. Has the writers' room called you yet, Aster?
Not yet.
Every week we say, who would be great in the writers' room is Aster, and they haven't taken the hint. So we have to start a letter writing campaign. I agree. Chris said earlier before he got booted off that he thought Locke was going to die, but much later in the season. But the interesting thing is, I thought that too. But I think his character is going to cast a shadow over the last 3 episodes. It's basically Maul's reason for doing anything she does from now on through the end of the season. And I think Locke will be present in all the episodes, even though Elias Tufexis isn't. I think his embodiment will be there. I'll bet he'll be name checked in most of the episodes. So that's really interesting. So yeah, thanks all for joining me. I just want to wrap up by talking about Patreon as I do every week. If you're a Patreon supporter, thank you so much. We have merch and things now. We have totes, we have mugs, we have what else do we have? Stickers. And there's going to be more stuff coming for higher levels. We just need designs, and I will be at some point. I'll have pictures of each of these things, and I'm getting samples so I can show them off on screen. So I don't have them yet, but I'll be getting them. So that's coming for Patreon supporters. If you're not a Patreon supporter, please consider supporting us. For as little as $1 a month, you'll get all of this stuff, all these videos. I've got interviews coming up, hopefully with Adam Nimoy, hopefully with John Delancey. I just did an interview with somebody from the Shore Leave Convention that's coming up.
Nice.
I did an interview with, what else is coming up? We've got the people from Modifius about the Star Trek Adventures game. I've got that in the can. I just have to edit it and send it out into the world. And also Tom Salinsky, who has written a book chronicling his sort of first time through the original series and Next Generation. And so I've got an interview with him about that. He gives everything a star rating, and you know, it's a really great book. It's a lot of fun. It's not out yet. It'll be out in the next few weeks probably, but the interview's coming soon. So you get all these interviews 2 days early. And you get deleted scenes as well, which frequently there are some. And so you get all that stuff by supporting us on Patreon. Plus, we're going to be doing some contests. One of the ones that I mentioned last week is we'd love a Patreon supporter to join us on the show. What you need to do is you need to send me a video either via Patreon or info@dailystartreknews.com and let me know why you would like to be on the show and why you think you should be on the show. This goes through May. We'll pick somebody to join us in June. So far, I have not had any entries. So get out there and let us know if you want to be on the show, and maybe you'll be on. And then if this does end up being successful, we'll do more of these. So again, that's for as little as $1 a month. You can join Patreon and support us. Your support means the world to us. It helps us pay our bills. Helps keep the lights on here at Daily Star Trek News. So thank you for your support, either current support or future support. Thank you so much.
I have one other thing.
Yeah.
It's about Star Trek, and they are going to be getting the Peabody Award in June.
Oh, wow. I hadn't that.
Yeah, they are. I'll tell you what, it's the institutional award, which recognizes institutions, organizations, series, or programs for their body of work and their lasting impact on the media landscape and the public imagination. That's the official description of the award. So.
Oh, cool. That's really cool. We'll keep an eye out for that. We'll cover it.
Yeah.
Thanks for that tip.
Sure.
So Tony Tellado, Chris Post, Aster Lufkin, once again, thank you all for joining us, or joining me. And this has been great. Tony, we're all involved in Daily Star Trek News, but Tony, you're with Sci-Fi Talk. So where can people find you if they want to follow you?
Best way is on Apple Podcasts. You can subscribe to the podcast there and hear some of the stuff that I've done. So my Discovery Junket will have the last episode airing next week with the showrunners, and then that'll conclude it as the series concludes, unfortunately. But hopefully I'll get some more. And I just talked to LeVar Burton too about Reading Rainbow and the new documentary based on that. So he had some interesting comments about Picard too, by the way. So
that's great. So you can find all that. You also have a website, sci-fi-talk.com, right?
.com. Yeah, you can listen to all the episodes there too and subscribe and stuff like that. So it's all there. And Sci-Fi Talk is also on X at Sci-Fi Talk and on Instagram, Sci-Fi Talk as well. So there you go.
Fantastic. Pretty much all the places you can find Daily Star Trek.
Yep, absolutely.
Well, thanks so much for joining us once again, Tony.
Thank you. Pleasure.
And Aster and Chris, thank you both so much. Let's meet again next week. Same time, same channel.
That'd be great.
All right. Thanks, guys.